The 2018 British Truck Racing Association Championship with Truck and Driver. Hi everyone, and a very warm and sunny welcome to Snetterton in Norfolk for the 6th event in the 2018 British Truck Racing Association Championship with Truck and Driver. Steve, Division 2, very competitive this year. I mean, you've got Brad alongside you, he's been very, very consistent and fast as well.
Yeah, he's good to race with. Shame my brother John's not out here, but Eric's pulled off a good lap time here. Luke's flying. Brad's very consistent, so it has been a good year actually, to be fair. I mean, we had a really bad start to the season, but we've come good now. We've had a few wins as we're going on, so looking forward to this event really. It's just all about bagging more points, and the aim here for us is to finish every race.
Last year we had the diff seized up on us on the Saturday evening, and we couldn't get the parts to repair it for Sunday. We've had some issues for the qualifying, and it's now rectified itself. We managed to get one sort of flying lap in, but with cold tyres, and we qualified 7th, so let's just see what the rest of the weekend can bring.
Qualifying looks like this. The Division 1 times headed by Championship leader Ryan Smith from David Jenkins, Jamie Anderson and Simon Reed. In Division 2, Eric Forstrom, a very welcome visitor, tops the times from Luke Garrett, Steve Powell with Brad Smith in 4th. Luke Garrett headed the trucks away in Division 2, Eric Forstrom in 2nd. Early problems for Craig Reed, and there were problems too for Eric Forstrom, the smoker telltale problem. Brad Smith taking the lead and indeed the win, with Steve Powell in 2nd place, John Bowler in 3rd. Division 1, no real surprises. It was Ryan Smith who went away from pole position to take the win. David Jenkins in 2nd place, some strong drives elsewhere, but Smith taking the checker once again from Jenkins and Jamie Anderson. So the trucks for Division 2 having their 2nd race. Adam Bidd starting on the front row with Trevor Martin, Craig Reed and Jim Bennett row 2. Steve Powell and John Bowler are next up from Luke Garrett and Brad Smith. Eric Forstrom, Paul McCumsky with John Powell and Simon Cole completing the grid. We have indeed lost, sadly, Eric Forstrom from the mix. So it's Trevor Martin and Adam Bidd that lead the field across the line, down into Riches for the first time. Steve Powell in yellow in 3rd, up into 2nd in fact, and looking on the inside line of Binty, we've got Craig Reed around the outside of Trevor Martin as well. So Reed up, and off onto the grass goes Craig Reed, carried too much speed down into Riches, goes very wide. Thank heavens for the big runoff here. On board with Brad Smith, race 1 winner already, closing up the gap on the championship leader, Luke Garrett. He had 15 points in race number 1. So goes on to 2.98, Garrett on 3.31. So Luke Garrett still with a big advantage, but he'd ideally like to wrap things up at the end of Pembrey or as early as possible in the Brands Hatch meeting in November. John Powell 3rd in the standings, Steve Powell is 4th in the standings, but it's Adam Bidd, the former champion, that leads. Slightly downhill out of Palmer in towards Agostini. Trevor Martin still in 3rd place, but coming under a wee bit of pressure now is Trev, as Luke Garrett goes around the outside line. 14 truck is John Bowler currently 4th. Trev gets a bit of back end. We've got the 16 machine of Brad Smith there in the mix as well, but Steve Powell looking very handy here at the head of this trio. And they're getting stuck in. Trevor Martin goes wide, off onto the grass, and that cedes 3rd position now to Luke Garrett and John Bowler. Garrett with the inside line, Bowler cedes it. We're on board with Brad Smith at the moment behind them in 5th place, but Adam Bidd, the race leader. Bit of gravel kicked up there by the 14 truck. They're heading on to the back straight here, the Bentley straight, massive long straight, so a little bit of respite after hauling these machines round the infield, which is very twisty and turny, so they get a little bit of a break. And then down into the Brundle Nelson complex, and it's still the ex-champions, 2 ex-champions, 1 and 2, with Luke Garrett in 3rd place, Binti needs a little bit of luck, doesn't he? And off the front of the grid, driving well. One of the key things about this track that the drivers will tell you is that if you can get away off the front in a reverse grid race, the twists and turns make it not impossible but difficult to overtake for the chasers. So a fast front row starter can get away, but Binti hasn't managed to do that because he's got Steve Powell right with him. Powell putting the pressure on, Binti lifts the wheel. That's a spectacular place to watch at Murray's. The lead 3 trucks all together. Luke Garrett, the chaser, he's the championship leader, and they come along centre straight. And it's Binti still there. What's Steve Powell going to do? Is he going to look down the inside? He hasn't looked. We've got the neatball flag going out, so that's for a mechanical failure. I guess that might be for Simon Cole, who we think might be having an engine problem, but it's Binti still there, and there must be fluid down. Very sideways, Steve Powell. Binti gets it through the corner in lead position, and now down the inside goes Powell, who collected it all up, and Binti's got a problem. He's off on the grass. Adam Bint's off. So it's Steve Powell now from Luke Garrett in second position. And look at the front of the 68 machine. It is covered with oil, and that is from Simon Cole's truck, and it's going to be very, very difficult indeed for Craig Reed to see. You can see when we get a closer look at it, he's used the wipers to clear it away. It is a worry seeing that oil over the front of the truck. So it's Steve Powell, but now we're being told that Steve Powell is adjudged to have had a false start. So Powell, this is effectively handing the lead to the 42 truck of Luke Garrett. Now, I was telling you about the 68. We caught a glimpse of it earlier on. And visibility, a problem here for Craig Reed, who is ahead of a couple of trucks. So running well despite those visibility problems. Simon Cole, I can tell you, is out of the race. It's still Steve Powell at the head of the field. Brad Smith at the moment running in third place on track. We're going to have to wait for confirmation. Well, okay, red flag. It's going to be red and checker. Sadly, a red flag, an early end to the race. Adam Bint's truck is stranded. Steve Powell was leading, but with the jump start gets relegated to third. Luke Garrett wins from Brad Smith and Steve Powell. John Bowler next from Craig Reed, Jim Bennett and Trevor Martin.
Really good to get your weekend back on track after race 1, so you're getting those points back.
Yeah, very disappointed about yesterday's race, the first race. So to have a second was good. To finish the race was good. But obviously now we've got the first. Obviously we're very happy.
Brad, we make a big habit of this. Another podium, more solid points, and you know Luke was just saying that today overall you've clawed a little bit of that championship lead in on him.
Yeah, we've gained quite a few points now, so we've just got to keep consistent and keep the truck on the track, basically.
Stuart, just about to get the call for race 2. Much work overnight?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, we were a bit off the pace yesterday, so I've done a few alterations. Hopefully it'll improve the job and see what we can do today, but it's never ending the work to get it to go faster.
John, second meeting back with us. How are things progressing?
Slowly, but we're getting there. It's just learning the truck, learning the tracks. Obviously, I've never raced at Snetterton before. Very, very, very complicated course. A lot of corners, a lot of learning, just me hitting the right lines and everything else. But it's enjoyable, it's good.
John Newell lines up on pole position for this one. He's got Ricky Collett for company alongside. Row 2, Martin Gibson and Terry Gibbon. Stuart Oliver, row 3 with Simon Reed. Jamie Anderson, David Jenkins, and championship leader, race 1 winner, Ryan Smith, starting off the back. These, of course, are reverse grid races. The start is underway. Look at Terry Gibbon. Has a look on the grass. He won't find any grip there, but it's John Newell leading us and go down into Rich's. Good start by Simon Reed in the 89, who gets tagged. And around, it's Newell that gets tagged, rather. And that, look at that, is a chain reaction, and we end up with 4 trucks getting involved in that. Terry Gibbon nearest camera now. David Jenkins gets going again in the pole position man. John Newell is stranded for the moment. That might be a stoppage for the race if he can't get it going. But Simon Reed came through all that. He was very quick off the start. He was challenging for the lead, and I think there was contact with that man there who has got going. Well done, John. So this is, as John said in his interview, now very much a learning experience in this race for him. But sad to lose out on that pole position. So Reed the leader. Martin Gibson started 4th. Reed started 6th, so really made progress through the grid as they came along the straight. 3rd position is Jamie Anderson. And then fourth at the moment, Stuart Oliver, who'll try and close in. Here's the view from Jamie Anderson, looks down the inside line into Oggies, isn't quite room, so he won't force his way through, he'll try and pick his moment. Look at the back end slide there on Martin Gibson's truck. That was a super shot, great view of how very much on the limit these trucks are. So damage on the front left of two trucks there, first and third place machines. The race organisers will keep an eye on that, because if it's a big piece of bodywork, the last thing they want is the bodywork flying off, going under a wheel of a truck, or even worse, of course, into a spectator area. Generally, the spectator areas on truck racing are further back. That's why some tracks aren't licensed for truck racing. And if you go to the likes of Thruxton, Brands Hatch, or wherever you watch truck racing, you'll see that the marshals are very often put a good few yards back further than they would normally be for safety's sake, which is understandable. Anyway, Simon Reed out front. He's developing a bit of a lead in the Iveco at the moment. Second position in the Kelsa 11 is Martin Gibson, hanging on well. Jamie Anderson next from Stuart Oliver, who starts to get close here. So Oliver, if he can get a run out of Murray's, the corner they've just cleared, along centre straight. Looks like he lost a wee bit of momentum actually maybe there. Richard Collett still racing after that front row start. About time we saw a bit of luck for Collett as the race leaders come down into Rich's once again. Wide line into the corner correctly for Simon Reed. And then second, third and fourth still very close together. Jamie Anderson will look as he goes into the Wilson hairpin on the inside line. Isn't really enough room there, so he goes back out, takes a wide line in. We'll look for momentum down in towards Palmer corner. Now, two of our recovering drivers from that first corner skirmish are not that far apart here. We've got Terry Gibbon busy chasing John Newell. I thought that Terry had got away first, but maybe he's had a pit stop. But certainly lost ground and trying to close in at the moment on John Newell. So those two engaged in battle as our lead quartet continue apace, with Simon Reed still trying to develop the lead. Gibson in second. Third place there is Jamie Anderson. Great battle here on for second position. Simon Reed away down the road, and Anderson looks down the inside line. Jamie Anderson timed that perfectly. Shot down the inside, no contact. That's just how you do a pass, and that was pretty timely because Stuart Oliver is right behind him and putting pressure now on Martin Gibson as well. But I say timely because the race one winner, Ryan Smith, in that pristine white machine, is coming through the order as well. Remember, from the back of the grid, we've overlooked Ryan Smith so far in this race. Oliver to the inside line as they go down towards Brundle. Is he going to be able to make the move? No, he can't on his teammate Martin Gibson. So Martin might be starting to get thoughts of a podium here, maybe a bit premature because Stuart Oliver goes wide, Ryan Smith keeping it tight. Oliver dips down the inside line as they head through bomb hole towards Coram. Still can't get past the 11 truck. It's a very, very good drive by Martin Gibson, really learning his craft. But the race leader is Simon Reed. Unsurprisingly, Ryan Smith's got the fastest lap of the race, by the way, and there he is in the white number 1 Taylor's truck, the MAN, chasing hard and still trying to head up towards the podium. Out of Murray's, this three-way battle for third place. Along centre straight they go once again. And a break in the ranks here. There is Jamie Anderson in second. And this one, again, depending, remember the trucks top out at 100 miles an hour. So the straight is not necessarily an easy place to pass. It's more on how you can get out of the corners and indeed into the corners. So the two long straights here don't really give anybody a big advantage in terms of acceleration, because as you'll see maybe from some of the readouts, they do top out at 100 miles an hour. That's all they can do. Here is the 37 truck of Terry Gibbon, still running and therefore still in the points, of course. Everybody on this 9 truck grid will score points today, 15 for the winner potentially, and it's Simon Reed out front. He's really developed a good lead from Jamie Anderson, and look at the fight for fourth place. Ryan Smith's on the outside line, Stuart Oliver on the inside, the black bonneted truck, the only bonneted truck in the Division 1s. And Ryan having a look round the out. This is great clean racing from these two. Great truck racers, Ryan Smith and Stuart Oliver. Side by side, and it looks like Ryan's got the move to go into Hamilton, the left-hander. Moves across, gets the position done. Rick Collett still racing as well. Rick chasing immediately ahead of him is going to be David Jenkins, who's still second in the championship standings, remember. So here they come again with that 11 truck of Martin Gibson now, and you see what I mean about getting out of the corners. It was a much smoother move out of the corner there by Ryan Smith, and he draws level, and he's going to have the inside line as they come down into Brundle. Reed leading, Anderson second, and now into third position is going to go Ryan Smith. Watch for Stuart Oliver trying to come through as well. David Jenkins in shot just behind them, so we've got 3 black trucks. Jenkins closing up on this battle at the moment, and now Oliver's got the inside line and finally makes it through past his teammate, but a good race there by Martin Gibson. Will he be able to fend off David Jenkins before the end of the race as well? Jamie Anderson is catching Simon Reed, and this almost a replay of what happened between them in race 1, and Anderson managed to get past, and it was currently on centre straight. It was down into Agostini where he managed to get past in race 1, and Reed, I'm guessing, will be savvy to that move and will protect at all costs out front. But it's a thrilling race. He's only got one more lap to see what he can do, Jamie Anderson, having caught the 89 truck. Is he going to have a look here? He comes offline, decides against that, and will try and carry momentum through Riches and maybe down into the hairpin. He's really working the truck hard. Ryan Smith is working hard too in third place. On board with Anderson. Look how the speed has to come down into that corner. Now he's on the gas. Both of them equal at the moment, and it's still Simon Reed, the race leader. Jamie Anderson in second. Palmer, the left-hander. Anderson will want to try and get the run into the next corner. They go very slightly downhill. And it's the left-hander into Agostini. And at the moment, it looks like Simon Reed, he's not overly defensive. There's half a gap there, but I think he knew he was far enough in front to defend from there. So that part of the circuit is safe. Anderson's got to work out what else he can do. But he'll also be very aware that the number 1 truck, the championship leader, is right behind him as well. And don't bet against Ryan Smith taking a win from third place here. David Jenkins, there he is, still scoring useful points in this one. He's got ahead now, you can see, of Martin Gibson. Martin's best result so far this year, 4th position, which was at Thruxton. Anderson tops out 99 miles per hour, there you go, and down the Bentley straight. Is he going to be brave under braking, or is he going to... No, he's not going to have a look down the inside line. There are 3 of them here, line astern. Simon Reed still in front. We've still got some technical corners to go. So it's Reed from Anderson with Ryan Smith in third place. Smith is a couple of lengths behind, but they head down towards Corham once again. And Simon Reed here, he's going to be delighted if he can win this one, because it was a 6th place grid start. And I reckon this is one of the best progressions that he's made through the grid to take a win here. Goes out of Murray's corner, and now it's the run to the flag. And it was a good exit by the 2nd place truck. You can see Ryan Smith back in third will try and close in on them as they come down to the checker. But it's Simon Reed that takes it. Honks the horn as he goes across the line. Jamie Anderson second. Ryan Smith in third. Stuart Oliver 4th from David Jenkins and Martin Gibson. Then Ricky Collett, Terry Gibbon in 8th and John Newell 9th.
Hard to believe that is the first race win of the year for the faster of the 2 Reed brothers. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been longer waiting, that's for sure, for the team as well, all the hard work we put in for it. We've had a few close shaves here and there in the 3rd and 2nd places, but never just met the 1st place.
A big race for us really. We started at the back, there's a bit of problems at turn 1. We seen a gap and we had to go for it. You know how much of the grass we took, we just had to take it. You know, it's good fighting at the top and knowing that I can be right there at the peak of it. And let's be honest, you know, with the first year being here, I think we're doing what we need to for the sponsors and for ourselves. And it can only go forward really from here.
Terry, I see you messing around in the engine bay. What's the problem?
It's developed a small engine problem during the race. It started to lose a bit of power, and the throttle pedal has gone a bit woolly. But we'll investigate it and see if we can find the fault.
So with Andrew, you now the owner of the truck that we've seen Eric Forstrom race, and he withdrew from the meeting early, sadly, engine problems.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, a 50p hose came off the radiator, caused the engine to overheat, and he had to pull in. But we can get a new engine over from Finland and get the truck rebuilt in the next few weeks. We'll either be out in Pembrey, but probably mainly aiming for Brandsatch.
And the story there is that it's going to be your debut.
That's right. I've been following the sport since '84 at Donington. I was a youngster. I followed it all around Europe, Finland, Germany, Spain. The chance now to actually go out and live the dream and have a good go. I've never competed, never raced. I did 50, 60 laps at Camorra in Finland in June. We formed a joint venture with the Finnish team and RSM, commercial driver training from Wickford in Essex. And we're good to go. Get this engine sorted. The truck is very fast. Eric qualified first yesterday, which is very unfortunate. We had to pull over. Get everything rebuilt and let's get on the track.
As with every truck race meeting, there was a plethora of family-friendly entertainment and attractions to keep everybody amused.
John, first time we've seen you this weekend, what's the story?
Yeah, we come testing yesterday, Friday. We've done a bit of work with ECUs, trying to eradicate some of the smoke and bits and bobs, and it's dropped 4 valves, but it actually picked itself up and revved up, so come out the corner here. And I just felt it go, and I just managed to switch it off. But I got to say a massive thank you to HTC DAF, our local agent, sourced us ahead, got it overnight, delivered to the local DAF agent, enabling us to fit it.
Good story, and great news that we've got John Powell on the grid. He lines up 12th. We've got Adam Binns in pit lane, Trevor Martin from pole, Jim Bennett to his outside. P3 on the grid is Craig Reed with John Bowler, and showing his nose from the third row is Steve Powell in yellow. Is Powell going to get a run down the inside line? It's Trevor Martin that leads this one. Martin the leader, Reed second, Bennett third. Bennett being challenged by John Bowler, and here's the view of that from Brad Smith in 5th place. Bowler looks on the inside line as they come up to the hairpin. Hard on the brakes now. Precision driving and getting close. Was there a tap? I don't think so. These guys know what they're doing. Steve Powell looks around the outside in yellow towards the back of the lead group. Jim Bennett did very well there to survive the attempted pass by John Bowler. On board with Brad Smith behind John. This is Palmer corner, the left-hander. Drifting a wee bit wide there, I think was Brad Smith. Still second in the championship, remember Smith. We've got Garrett, the championship leader, who is not quite in shot at the moment. Trevor Martin gets defensive. Tight line in from Trev. Garrett's coming through now on the outside line of Brad Smith to challenge for 5th place, which he's trying to do around the outside of Agostini. Back end comes around a little bit, so Garrett, oh look at that, threading through on the inside line now. He's going to tee up John Bowler and try and take 4th position away from John, having passed the man who chases him nearest in the championship. Great view across the circuit there of the big bank where you can watch all the racing on the infield. So Smith chasing Garrett, championship leader. It's still John Powell 3rd in the standings. Steve Powell's made a little bit of ground with John's non-starts thus far in the meeting. Then Steve Powell 4th, John Bowler in 5th place as Reed and Jim Bennett go off on the dirt. I think Jim coming out in sympathy there with Reed, but look at Garrett, dives through on the inside line. He's going to go on the outside now, Luke Garrett. He's making up a lot of progress here. Is Luke Garrett, and now challenging for the lead on the outside line of Trevor Martin. He's got it. Martin down to 2nd, Craig Reed in 3rd, and Luke Garrett has come through the field. Bear in mind when they were coming out of Palmer, we couldn't see him. He was back in 5th or 6th place, and now Martin runs a little bit wide. Craig Reed's going to come through. Trev's going to just nip across and consolidate 3rd position in front of John Bowler. Good racing from Trevor Martin there. So Martin hangs on to 3rd. This one of my favourite shots in any track, when they come around Coram, the truck's leaning over, the driver's hard at work at the wheel. It's a wonder to behold, it really is superb. And John Bowler busy chasing, Trevor Martin still in 3rd, and they've only done 1 lap, 3 miles done. The 300 circuit, there's a 200 circuit as well, which is effectively outside the older configuration circuit. It is slightly different from the way it used to be, and there's a 100 circuit they use for training as well. So Garrett, he'd be very brave to bet against him winning once he's in front, the championship leader. And after the disappointment of race 1 for him, he's going to be keen to get some points on the board. Jim Bennett running well. Steve Powell up ahead at the moment of Brad Smith. So there is Bennett in 5th place at the minute. Runs a little bit wide. That's very good news indeed for John Powell to go through. It's John Powell, beg your pardon, who was there. And Brad Smith down, of course, behind Steve Powell. So John's truck behaving itself now, getting some mileage in. There's so much work goes into these trucks. They did have a test day here, as you heard. And test days are few and far between. They tend only to be appended to the meetings. As Steve Powell looks down the inside line of Jim Bennett to try and follow his brother through, and Jim gets the back end coming around on him, and Steve sees that, and Jim collects it all up. Could have gone across the track into Powell. Powell's off the gas. Steve Powell read that very well indeed, and Jim Bennett did well to put it all back in line. But he does lose momentum, and Steve's having a look on the inside run, but Jim Bennett's pulled it all back together and maintains that position ahead of Steve Powell. Luke Garrett out front, he's got the fastest lap as well, but look at this gaggle of trucks all dicing hard. Steve Powell is now ahead of Jim Bennett, then John Bowler. Trevor Martin's going through. Trevor still in 3rd place. We could be on for a Trev podium here, but Steve Powell trying to close him down. He's got the quicker lap times, Powell, as Trevor Martin goes into Coram. Is the race leader though onto the last lap of the race. Luke Garrett, this is lap 6, set the fastest lap on lap 3. Craig Reed in 2nd position and Trevor Martin in 3rd. We could well see Trevor Martin's first podium of the year. We've only thus far seen him at the Thruxton meeting, as into pit lane sadly comes Paul McCumpsky. So Paddy Mack out of the race sadly. Adam Bint not having the best of luck either at this meeting. Really due some good form is Adam. But back with the race leader, Luke Garrett. Craig Reed, you just saw momentarily in the background, having cleared the Rundle Nelson complex, heading into Bombhole. And it is a battle on for 3rd place now, and Steve Powell will never give up. He's looking on the inside line. Has he got momentum here? Sweeps back to the outside line. Trevor will see the yellow peril in his mirrors and will defend as they go into Coram. Meanwhile, checkered flag for Luke Garrett. Takes the win, extends the championship lead. Craig Reed in 2nd position, and the scrap for 3rd place, it's Steve Powell. He's got on the inside line. Powell takes 3rd position. Trevor Martin in 4th ahead of John Powell, who finishes in 5th place. Then John Bowler, Brad Smith 7th, Jim Bennett in 8th place ahead of Paul McCumpsky and Adam Bint. The 3rd race for Division 1. John Newell on pole position once again. Terry Gibbon alongside. Then it's Ricky Collett and Martin Gibson. David Jenkins with Stuart Oliver on row 3. Row 4, Ryan Smith with Jamie Anderson. Simon Reed off the back of the grid as the previous race winner. Terry Gibbon looking a little bit keen there. I don't think that was a jump start. He was just a shade ahead of John Newell. The starting officials happy with things. So it's Newell on the inside, hoping for better fortune here. Makes it around turn 1 this time. So does Terry Gibbon in lead position. Martin Gibson running in 3rd place. Stuart Oliver immediately behind him. Simon Reed side by side at the moment there with Ryan Smith. A very good start by Gibbon here, who's broken free. So 2nd position here, Gibson. John Newell has been passed as well by Stuart Oliver and about to be passed by Jamie Anderson as well. So Anderson goes through. It's the battle for 2nd position, and I've got to say, this is Martin Gibson really very much arrived as a competitive truck driver as John Newell gets it all sideways. James Bond style dust screen behind him. Inside line of Jamie Anderson now goes Stuart Oliver, hard on the brakes. Is he going to be able to come through, or is Anderson going to go for the burn up round the outside? He tries, it means he goes on the grass, so loses momentum as a result. John Newell might get closer to him, so too will Simon Reed, who's had a good start, Simon Reed, in the 89 from last on the grid after winning, remember, race 2 from 6th on the grid. So around into Oggie's corner, Oliver still chasing his teammates, getting that view rather a lot here on these reverse grid races. He does manage to get ahead of Martin Gibson, but Gibson is getting better and better, more experience. This is a strong 2nd place at the moment for Martin Gibson in the Scania. There is David Jenkins in the 69, putting pressure on the championship leader Ryan Smith. He's going to have a look here. This could be good for Jenkins, thinking about a move around the outside of the championship leader. They're side by side, white and black at the back of shot. chasing Reed, but the answer is that it's the number 1 of Ryan Smith that gets the better of that battle for the moment. John Newell coming under pressure from the white, blue and red machine of Simon Reed. Simon looks on the inside line, can't go through. So for the moment, John Newell will hang on to that. John settling in nicely back into the championship, but leaves a gap going into Coram. Simon will fly through on the inside line. You see what I mean about that shot? It is a great shot, but look at Ryan Smith coming through as well. He is looking cool as a cucumber, goes through. Newell deposed as well by David Jenkins. Jenkins still second in the championship. And do you know what? I don't think Jenks has had a lot of luck this year. If he'd had fortune with him, he would be a lot closer on the points to Ryan Smith. But that could well come for the rest of this meeting, and indeed at Pembrey, and of course at Brands Hatch for the firework finale in November. Jamie Anderson busy chasing bonneted Kelso truck of Stuart Oliver. Ryan Smith is still in behind. Simon Reed now got David Jenkins all out. Wherever you look, it is such a competitive field, and Smith just finds the gap down the inside line of Jamie Anderson. They're side by side. Is there a bit of door handling going on there? Smith wants the position. He's not going to give up without a fight, and Anderson looked like he was maybe a bit of bundling going on there to the outside, so Smith through. That was a very, very hard fought manoeuvre, puts Smith up into 4th place, but there's a big lot of ground now between the race leader Terry Gibbon and the chasing pack. So Terry's done some sterling work in the early stages, which you have to do. He started on the front row of the grid, and Gibbon looking very good value here. Only his 3rd meeting of the year prior to coming here. We had a 3rd place at Donington Park, a podium at Donington. His previous best clearly sorted the engine maladies that we were talking to him about. Simon Reed comes under pressure from David Jenkins. As we've seen, when the trucks are so evenly matched, it is difficult to make a pass. And this is really the reverse grid race is really rewarding us very much indeed. We've had 2 separate winners so far this year in this weekend rather in Division 1. So down the straight goes Anderson, followed by Reed, side by side now for 3rd place. Ryan Smith with Stuart Oliver. Oliver inside on the first part of the corner, outside for the 2nd, and it is job done there for Ryan Smith. Oliver now got Jamie Anderson behind him, but here's the race leader, Terry Gibbon out front. Ryan Smith, unsurprisingly, perhaps with fastest lap of the race, but the man who has had a good strategy here to get away from the front row of the grid, and whilst the pack behind him were sorting themselves out, and that's not what we want to see. That's a real shame. Martin Gibson in the barriers. The good news is that he's getting it going. Hopefully we won't see a red flag on this. So Martin Gibson, who was running very strongly again, is out of the race. If he could finish, he'll start off the front for the next race as Reedy gets stuck in. Immediately ahead of him now is David Jenkins in the 69, but as you saw from our graphic, we're on to the last lap here of this 3rd race of the weekend. Ryan Smith now in 2nd position. He's a little way behind, well, all right, a long way behind Terry Gibbon, who really did set out his stall earlier on. And he's away, and it looks like we're going to get a 3rd different winner from 3 races in Division 1. I don't think anybody would have put money on that scenario at the start of the meeting. So this is tremendous value for money for the spectators that are here. There's the 18, John Newell still running. He's at the moment the last of the 8 runners on track, but getting significant experience here, and his lap times are improving all the time, which is absolutely key. Stuart Oliver being chased by Jamie Anderson, and Oliver on for a podium here. Stuart Oliver still 4th in the standings. Is actually a point behind Simon Reed, so he'll repass Simon Reed in the standings here. He's 5th in the standings, Simon Reed 4th, but Oliver will reclaim that in this race by my maths. Jamie Anderson is 3rd in the table at the moment, so Oliver and Reed having a very good battle on the points. But here's the race leader, and we'll watch for a flash of, there is the 2nd place man, Ryan Smith, who again has had to come through, not from the very back, but the penultimate position on the grid. Has worked hard, barring any issues. Terry Gibbon, though, is going to become the 3rd different winner of the weekend in 3 races. Here is Gibbon through Coram, that immaculate truck. He's been racing in Europe. It's wonderful to see him racing with the British Championship. And Gibbon now comes along centre straight, and his reward is a checkered flag, which is being readied for him now. Terry Gibbon wins the 26th race of the season for the trucks. Ryan Smith in second place. The podium will be completed by Stuart Oliver there, and Jamie Anderson next up from David Jenkins. And here's confirmation of that. Simon Reed in 6th place, Ricky Collett in 7th, John Newell in 8th.
We've had 3 different winners in 3 races in Division 1. We can't ask for more.
No, it's perfect really. Everyone's so close now. The competition's good and everyone's racing pretty clean, so yeah, it's a cracking weekend.
You had the fastest lap there in the latter stages of the race. Ryan nicked it back off you, I think, on the last tour, so it is very competitive between you two.
Yeah, unfortunately the tyres we're running on this weekend are very old tyres and they were just starting to go off towards the end of the race. All the other guys are on some faster ones, but never mind. We'll try again next time.
Ryan, another great drive. They're the sorts of drives when you're coming through from the back that get you those very valuable points.
Well, I seen the gap was too big and I'd been squabbling with all the others to get round them, and I know Terry had got 3. And I thought, should I have settled for the 14 points? But I thought, you know what, the crowd pays money here and they've got a right to see a bit of a chase down, and 2 more laps and I'd have been with him, because we must have been taking minimum 2.5 seconds a lap out of him. So share of the spoils ain't going to hurt anybody this weekend, I'd have thought.
Sure, nice to see you back up on the podium. That was a busy race.
Yeah, it was a busy race, yeah. You know, there's, maybe the numbers of trucks was down a bit, but it certainly was fun from where I was. I was sort of in the middle of the pack for most of the race, and I knew Ryan would be coming because he's got the pace, but it was unfortunate. Martin had a bit of an issue, I don't know, mechanical somewhere, and he sort of shut off, but you know, he had good pace, and I thought, well, you know, if we can, good for the team if we can both get near the front or at least one or both of us on the podium. But that was good, I enjoyed that.
Jim, home meeting, always good to see you here out truck racing. How have things been so far?
Been a good weekend, really. Okay, not on the podium, but enjoying myself, and the truckers are holding well, and did some fair few modifications over up to about 6:30 on Friday, and a lot of work, but it seems to be paying off.
It's a good sport, a good family sport. John Powell was saying how everyone mucked in to get his truck back out, but you do all talk to each other, even though we don't often get the chance to overhear the conversations.
That's true, and I was just giving him some information on what I've done to my truck, because we've got the same issue with our trucks. And yesterday he had a bigger issue, so we didn't get to fight, and I always look forward to a fight with Ricky. So,
what specifically was the issue, Rick?
I had a broken disc on the front near side. I was expecting it to explode at any minute, so we just had to go a bit steady yesterday, so I had to drop away, unfortunately.
Obviously with the reverse grid, if you get a problem and you finish, it puts you at the front for race 2, which isn't always necessarily a good idea if you're testing out something new.
exactly, I can't stand being on the front row. I'd rather be on the second one and work from there than be on the front, but it's the way it is. So.
Don't think that's going to be an issue for Martin Gibson here, because his truck is lined up in pit lane ready for the start of the all-in final. Divisions 1 and 2 together on track. The front row of the grid, the Division 1s, John Newell and Richard Collett. The Division 2s due to be headed by Paul McCumpsky and Jim Bennett from Brad Smith and John Bowler. So always good as a finale to the day for the race fans to see everybody on track together. On board with Jamie Anderson for the start. They're coming down to the start line. As you can see, now the red lights are off and we are truck racing here for the last time this weekend. And it's a good start by John Newell from pole. Ricky Collett looking to make momentum around the outside line. Simon Reed in white, red and blue on the inside, challenging for second place. Dave Jenkins is fourth, Stuart Oliver fifth, then Jamie Anderson. Was a good start. It's the 16 truck of Brad Smith that leads the Division 2s at the moment. So they're all getting stuck in, very, very busy around some tight twists and turns on the infield here for the first lap. Well, Brad Smith, the leading Division 2 truck, you can see not that far away from Ryan Smith at the back end of the reverse end of the Division 1 field at the moment, but it's Simon Reed in front. David Jenkins, some deft racing from him has got him up into second place in the Digraph MAN, so he's second. John Newell running wide, tail out there. He's done that a few times this weekend, and he's got Rick Collett looking all over the back of him, then Anderson, Ryan Smith following. Terry Gibbon down behind those guys at the moment, through Hamilton, down towards Oggies. Jamie Anderson. Look at this call, this is Oggies, it's a double apex. Collett running wide, which is the right thing to do. There's room on the inside for Anderson to try and come through, but Collett got more momentum and holds on to that. And now Anderson's got the championship leader looking to his outside line. Ryan Smith goes a couple of wheels on the dirt to try and gain momentum onto the Bentley straight. On board again with Anderson coming down the straight. Great view of Rick Collett. Meanwhile, it's still Simon Reed out front, so it's Reed, then David Jenkins, followed by Stuart Oliver, and here come the lead Division 2. It's Steve Powell putting the pressure on Brad Smith at the moment. John Powell is in third position, and then Luke Garrett currently fourth. So back with the leader, and getting it sideways, Simon Reed goes off onto the grass. He loses the lead, he's going to lose second place, but he manages to haul the machine back on track. Reed from first to third, one mistake, you get severely spanked in the trucks. Anderson all over the back of Ryan Smith, and Terry Gibbon in front of them again, so it looks as if things have changed there as well. Onto centre straight they go. Anderson looks for the gap, Ryan Smith ducks back in front of us towards the pit wall. That is one spectacular shot as they go up towards the concrete. So back with Division 2, and Craig Reed doing the chasing here. Trevor Martin in behind him, so they go across the line. Then Jim Bennett. And things starting to develop into a little bit of a pattern. Gibbon keeps it nice and tight at the lead of this trio. Ryan Smith, championship lead, I reckon 54 points at this stage. David Jenkins still second in the standings, but could possibly pull a few back here on Ryan Smith, who's still busy trying to come through the field. And a great onboard shot once again from Jamie Anderson, but it's Collett at the head of the group from John Newell. The two front row starters lost a little bit of ground. Through goes Gibbon on the inside line of Newell as they go into Agostini, and watch Ryan Smith try and follow through. Jamie Anderson will also do the same thing. Brad Smith second now, Steve Powell in yellow in front, and Luke Garrett looks to the outside line, drifts wide does Garrett as they go through Agostini, but the truck is finding some grip there, might get some more momentum. On board again with the second place, no, third place man now. Brad Smith down to third, Luke Garrett back up into the race lead, and Garrett looking to try and close down now on Steve Powell. It's going to be a good race between those two as this continues. So Newell at the back of this group now, and Ryan Smith busy trying to close down at the minute on Terry Gibbon in 37. Jamie Anderson still racing hard as well. Collett at the head of the group's got a little bit of breathing space over Terry Gibbon at the moment. You can see the Division 2s making their way down the straight, still headed by the yellow MAN of Steve Powell. Powell closing in on his brother John in the championship, but I don't think he's going to be able to overhaul him in this race. It has closed down with John's problems from testing that he told us about earlier on in the meeting. But those two will have to battle it out over the remainder of the season. Pembrey and of course Brands Hatch. Outside line here for Brad Smith now, and that is the 11 truck of Martin Gibson, starting from pit lane of course, working his way through the Division 2 trucks. That's what we used to see in the old days, with the Division 2s lining up in front. Probably a bigger gap back to the Division 1s to allow a couple of laps for everybody to sort themselves out, and then we get the intermingled traffic, and it's a good thing for the spectators to see. I don't think in the regs at the moment we have the Division 1 starting off the front. It does make for a very spectacular start, because you can start, if the Division 1s are off the front, you can start the Division 2s closer to them, and it really is a very spectacular start when that happens, as we saw here today as Ryan Smith looks to the outside line of Terry Gibbon and spins. Ryan Smith, that is a very rare moment from Ryan Smith. Now if there's a problem with the truck or not, I don't know. There is John Powell in the number 6, still getting stuck in and chasing hard, but as you would expect, Ryan Smith recovering. Luke Garrett tight down the inside line. We've got the fast-moving Martin Gibson coming through the Division 2s as well, but Ryan Smith finds himself down towards the back of Division 1. Collett, Anderson, Gibbon and Newell with a big gap now over Steve Powell there in yellow, who leads Division 2. Then it's Ryan Smith in Division 1. Martin Gibson Division 1, second in Division 2, so a big distance back between Steve Powell and Luke Garrett at the moment. And then the 16 of Brad Smith running third. John Powell in fourth position in the number 6 truck, so maybe a podium battle about to develop there. And Ryan Smith still trying to work his way through. He's now managed to pass Steve Powell on his recovery, so Ryan Smith, is he even going to be on the podium in this race? He's still got a very healthy championship lead. And those of you who follow truck racing religiously will know about the reverse grid fault. There is Dave Jenkins. Look at the lead Jenkins has got over Oliver, former champion leading multiple champion. Then it is, of course, Simon Reed in the 89. I was going to say to you, those of you who follow your truck racing will know that the race format really does work here at Snetterton. 3 different winners. It's going to be very difficult to beat David Jenkins from there. We might even have our 4th different winner of the weekend in Division 1. And it's testament to the format that was devised by the British Truck Racing Association all those years ago, where we have the reverse grids. I'd like to see a reverse grid for race 1 as well, but hey, don't tell anybody that. Here we come down into the Brundle-Nelson complex. A great Division 2 battle going on. And it's John Powell on the inside line. Brad Smith goes on the dirt, loses out to Craig Reed. Craig Reed's going to get 2 places in 2 corners. So Reed making progress. There's the other Reed, Simon Reed. I always joke that each of them is the faster of the 2 Reed brothers, and I hope people have picked up on that. We do it for both of them. Rick Collett coming through next in the 95. The yellow HGV Direct Collett truck with the legend built, not bought on the back. It is a self-built truck in Division 1. There, though, is the 3-way battle going on in Division 2 at the moment, with Craig Reed having got himself up into 3rd position there. Across the line they go. 2nd position in Division 2, Luke Garrett. And this, the battle for 3rd. Is John Powell going to be able to close down on Craig Reed? He's got his mirrors full at the moment of Brad Smith. We've got Jim Bennett and Trevor Martin still going as well in Division 2. And here is Brad, closes up on John Powell. This is the hairpin, wide line in here. This is all about momentum on the way out for him. Meanwhile, length of a straight or so away and ahead of them, making progress is Ryan Smith, who's cleared John Newell, goes up into 6th place overall. I mentioned Jim Bennett, there he is. Jim's having a good race of it. And I neglected to mention John Bowler, who's still on track as well, but passed by Jim Bennett there, so maybe John not looking too happy at the minute. There is the 3rd, 4th and 5th place trucks in Division 2 again at Agostini. Brad Smith working hard, so too is John Powell. I'm so glad that we got John Powell out. A big effort from everyone in the paddock to get him back out on track, and never give up these truck drivers. And here is Stuart Oliver, still racing hard as well. Colleton Gibbon busy having a good old dice as well. Rick runs a little bit wide. Gibbon will try and come up the inside line. Ryan Smith down behind them as well, trying to close in. Only just over half distance in this race, the final race of the weekend. And it's been a gruelling weekend. This is one of the most physical tracks that these guys race on. I was asked about the comparison between the British Championship and the European. Obviously the European spec trucks tend to be in Division 1. The Europeans do run longer races than we do in the British Championship, but people that I've spoken to prefer the British format because you tend to get more races on the shorter, so you get the spectacle of the starts. You probably get more different winners as well over the course of the weekend as well. Here is Steve Powell. He is the leader in Division 2 and had that out of position start judgment against him in race number 1, but he's looking in fine fettle here. Nothing at all wrong with his drive in this one, as Rick Collett locks up, goes straight on, disappears out of shot, everybody craning their necks to see where he's gone. Well, he is going to recover from that, but Powell ahead of, there's the 2nd place man in Division 2, Luke Garrett, the championship leader. Garrett on 361 points, 50 points clear of Brad Smith at the moment. And Garrett's had a very good season to date. John Powell it is that's third on 262. Steve, I think 10 points behind him, if I've got the sums right, in between these races. And Ryan Smith still fighting hard, looking to try and deal now with Terry Gibbon to take 5th position on track. Ryan with fastest lap, Steve Powell fastest in Division 2. Powell's lap time 2:33.6. The Division 1 lap time best is 2:24. Jamie Anderson clear track in front of him at the moment, but closing down as Stuart Oliver battles hard here with Simon Reed. This is for second place. Dave Jenkins in the MAN, Digraph MAN, still away down the road. So this second, third and fourth, very close. There is Dave Jenkins. What a drive from Jenkins. This is the Jenks that we know and love, the former champion, on his way, surely, to victory here. He had to work through from row 2 on the grid, but he's well clear. So Stuart Oliver in second position now, coming under pressure from Simon Reed. This is the closest battle, I think, on circuit at the moment. They both get a decent run out of Murray's. The 89 truck closes. Then we see the acceleration from Oliver. The race leader's on to the last lap. Jenks is on for 15 points here, down into Riches. Here's the view from Jamie Anderson of the battle for second place. Jamie trying to close up and get on the podium. It's going to be a tall order for him to do that past the banks of spectators. Oliver on the inside line, Simon Reed on the outside as they come into Riches. And Reed's putting in a good attacking drive here, but it's Oliver in the Kelso truck that's still there over the Guest machine at the moment, who runs out a little bit wide. Oliver's still there, outside line now for Oliver. Tucks back in as they go into the hairpin for the last time. Anderson piling the pressure on as well. Oliver closes up. Here though, onto the last lap goes Steve Powell, still leading Division 2. Powell from Garrett. Ricky Collett he's in front. Collett into Riches. Here's Steve Powell in the 3, and there in the 42 MAN is Luke Garrett in second place. Craig Reed still in third, not that far behind. Watch for Reed. There he is in the 68. Reed still coming under pressure from John Powell, who is going to finish the meeting on a positive. Then it's Brad Smith second in the championship. Jim Bennett still running as well. Jim is in 6th position in class at the moment. But what has happened to Stuart Oliver? Because Jamie Anderson's view now is the 89 truck of Simon Reed. Oliver is in behind, but somewhere along the line, Oliver has slipped back as David Jenkins hasn't slipped back. He's still in the lead, and a good, healthy, how healthy a lead? It's over 15 seconds. Incredible from Jenkins here. He really has got the job done. He's going to be delighted with that drive, and rightly so. Steve Powell on his way to a win in Division 2. It has been a long weekend. I tell you what, second is not finished yet either, because these two have been battling hard all weekend. This is at least the 3rd time we've seen Anderson harrying Simon Reed, and he's trying to do it, but out of Murray's comes David Jenkins, who's going to pick up his first win of the weekend. A 4th different winner in 4 races in Division 1. That's what the Truck Racing Championship is about. Jenkins wins by a huge margin. The second position battle coming out of Murray's now. It's going to be Reed. He got the better run through the corner. Reed second, Anderson in third. They've still got to go along centre straight. Here is the view from Anderson to take 3rd position. Reed is second, Anderson third. Stuart Oliver will be 4th, and Ryan Smith came through into 5th. As ever, Ryan battling hard towards the end. 5th position in class. The Division 2's headed by Steve Powell, who's got a good lead. We look back, can't even see a flash of Luke Garrett in second at the moment. Just looking there for John Newell to come through, and then Ricky Collett, who is ahead of Steve Powell. So Newell will be next across the line from Collett, the first of the yellow trucks. The second of the yellow trucks here is Steve Powell. Again, that super shot as they come through Coram. And not that far behind Ricky Collett in Division 1 is Steve Powell, so he has had a good one. Remember, Collett had that straight on at the hairpin, but it's going to be Powell to take the victory in Division 2. Passes the pit entrance. He will look for the checker, which is there. Steve Powell takes the win now across the line. Second position in class will go to Luke Garrett, third to Craig Reed, but the outright race winner, David Jenkins, back on the top step of the British Truck Racing Association Championship podium. There's Luke Garrett, who is second in class, ahead of Craig Reed in third. Confirmation of that: Jenkins, Reed, Anderson, Oliver 4th, Ryan Smith 5th from Terry Gibbon and John Newell, Ricky Collett 8th from Steve Powell, who wins Division 2, then Luke Garrett and Craig Reed completing their podium.
David, what a way to finish the weekend. Superb drive.
Yes, thank you very much. We've had a tough weekend. We showed fantastic pace here on Friday. I've lost the way a little bit with the truck. We had one or two tiny little mechanical problems. Once again, that 15 minutes I did, that's the tip of the iceberg. Without the team, the family, the sponsors, we'd be nowhere. So thanks once again to MV Commercials, Digraph, Morris Lubricants. Brilliant.
Simon Reed, another podium. Not a bad way to finish the weekend.
No, it was, like I say, just got going in the start. Sort of feed my way through, to be honest with you. Made a bit of a boo-boo on the first lap, just went a little bit too hot in. Slithered off and tried to slither it back again, and it just said no, you know what I mean? So Dave and Stuart whipped by then, sort of tagged back onto him and get my head straight again and crack on like.
Steve, congratulations, second win of the weekend. Not too bad in the end.
No, it was all right. Yeah, we got a bit of the penalty yesterday's win, so to take that one with, it's good. I've had a good weekend really, but anything can happen from now. We've still got 8 races left, so we're good. We've got the pace now. The lorry's right, happy with it. We're a lot confident more with the brakes, so looking forward. I love Pembury anyway, and I love Brands Hatch, so it's really excited to take the momentum forward hopefully.
So 2 wins this weekend and a second place to wrap things up.
Yeah, it's definitely turned itself around from the beginning of the weekend. So I'm really happy with what we, the last race. Give Steve his due. He had the better pace the last race. So I tried my best, but yeah, podium and on everything, and obviously still got the championship intact. So yeah, very happy.
Talking of the championship, here's the table. Division 1, 50-point lead for Ryan Smith over David Jenkins, with Jamie Anderson third from Stuart Oliver, Simon Reed and Ricky Collett completing the top 6. In Division 2, Luke Garrett still top, 43 points ahead of Brad Smith, John Powell, with Steve Powell in third.
What a superb weekend's racing we've had from the British Truck Racing Association Championship with Truck and Driver. Division 1, who would have thought that we were going to have 4 different winners in that class? Amazing. We've now got to wait for Pembury in October to see what happens at the penultimate event of the season. We hope you'll join us there.